We're just checking out the figures there. We've got 13.7k raised between us in Trinity. We're still coming in just behind the UCD, but there's a long way left to go yet. Brian was just telling us there before we hopped on. Last year, between all the colleges, they raised 60k. We're currently on 55, and it's the second day in November. So, in terms of bigger picture, we are flying it. And that is it. Yeah. So thanks a million for hopping on and being involved.
Yeah. So I guess the whole point of this is obviously we're raising so much money. It's amazing. We want to do something kind of at the grassroots level as well. It's going to help everyone get a conversation going, create a sense of community. So that's where the idea for the Monday Morning Mo Club came from. So yeah, the idea is we'll hop on every Monday morning. Be sure to get the word out to as many of your mates as possible. And we're going to have a different guest every week. So this week we have Daniel Toomey here from Daniel Toomey Wellbeing. So as you probably saw online, he's going to talk a bit about the positive mind and positive pastimes and that sort of thing. Next week we have a guy called Michal Quinn coming on, drums for Dermot Kennedy. So he's going to be talking about his experience in mental health, how he keeps himself in check when they're on the road all over the world, that kind of thing. Following week, I think we have Pat Divley, who's another kind of wellness self-help guru guy. He runs a great podcast. So yeah, that's the idea. Just every Monday morning, starting the week with kind of a dose of positivity, something fresh, getting ourselves out of bed. And that's it. So we'll hand it over to Daniel. Daniel, if you want to just introduce yourself and say a few bits about you.
Thanks, Dec. Thanks a million, mate. And yeah, so as Dec mentioned there, my name is Daniel Toomey and I'm the founder of DT Wellbeing. But yeah, I just want to say first before we begin, I'm just delighted and I was so honoured and felt privileged to be asked because I am a Trinity student. So like I am delighted to see what's been planned for the month and the initiatives that you guys are organising, and also as a part of the student community. I'm just really happy that I can contribute in any way. So when I was asked to come on as the first guest speaker, I was absolutely delighted. I'm really excited. So thanks so much, Ben, for reaching out, and for Dec for organising. And I'm really looking forward to seeing those guest speakers over the next few weeks. I'll be here as a guest from here on out. So yeah, so my background, guys. So I'm a qualified personal trainer, qualified in mindfulness-based stress reduction. My background is physical education. I did my undergrad in phys ed in UL, was a teacher in Cork, secondary physical education for 6 years, and was a university lecturer in UCC before starting my PhD. And I was lecturing in UCC on physical education and sports studies. Like currently PhD researcher here in Trinity, in my third year of 4, so finishing up next year. And I founded DT Wellbeing 2.5 years ago, and it's the premise of personal training for mind and body, putting those two things together, my skill sets in terms of personal training and physical education, but also mindfulness-based stress reduction, meditation, self-care, self-love, and kind of holistic health. But the kind of services that I provide are very similar to personal trainers in terms of personal training, one-on-one coaching. I also do online coaching, group training, and public speaking, which is, I suppose, one of the kind of most relevant of my skill sets that I'll be doing today. But yeah, so that's what I'm kind of doing currently. My background, yeah, and as of now, look, things are going okay. Very happy to be in Trinity. Like in 2 years' time, I'll be Dr. Daniel Toomey. Like my startup really it really excites me, and I feel as though there's lots of potential to do well in it. I'm also, believe it or not, guys, and you might believe this, but I'm also one of Ireland's top male models. So that's going okay for me too. I'm enjoying life. Things are going okay. And that's 2020. 2008, suicidal, hospitalized, taken out of my undergrad. Worst of the worst, like worst of the worst when it comes to depression, anxiety, obsession, non-functioning as a 22-year-old man. So I feel a lot of people in this room would be around that age bracket, 22. I was coming into my final year of my undergrad. So I went from that position of such weakness and like when I couldn't look after myself to this position of strength. And I like what's going on in my life right now, but it took 10 years of proactive investment in myself. And I just had to wake up. It was 2008 and I was like, right, we got to do something here. And I didn't want to be relying on everybody else to look after Daniel. So I just took back control, and that's what I've been doing for over a decade. So what I'm hoping to do today, guys, and I see it as a nice opportunity to do so, I'll be hoping to maybe share some of those learnings that I've learned over the last 10 or 12 years for a guy to look after himself. And you know, it could be relevant to somebody listening here. It could be somebody in your life that you might find it would be beneficial for them to hear. So that's what I'm going to hope to do today. Also, because I am a teacher and old habits die hard, I want everybody, and I know Rafi's ahead of the curve, he sent in a little message there. I want everybody to prepare a question, because at the end of the talk, I'm going to be putting people on the spot. You either have a question prepared or you don't. It's up to you. But I want everybody to think of a question that they might, during the talk, that kind of inspired you to, you know, want further information. So if I put you on the spot and you don't have a question, that's on you, essentially. I'm giving you a heads up here. So everybody have a question, please. So we'll start off talking about stigma and men's mental health. So I talk a lot about men, mental health, and masculinity, and how these things can contribute in a very negative way for guys not looking after themselves, right? And it's societal, but like we all as individuals have choices in terms of how we behave and what we do in our day-to-day. So like the history or the background of why men have stigma regarding mental health, or just like vulnerability in general, or showing weakness in general, it stems from us generation after generation after generation of men having a warrior mentality. Now, once upon a time, we as men were warriors, and we viewed other men as friends, unknowns, or foes. And the strong men protected their friends, were questionable about unknowns, and would kill their enemies or their foes, right? That's how we were set up as warriors, generation after generation after generation. That's what men did. So that warrior mentality has stuck with us over generations. And even though none of us are warriors anymore, we still aren't comfortable showing weakness amongst other men, because that makes us vulnerable. And if we are vulnerable, we're more likely to be killed, or we are more likely to be perceived as weak within our social group. And that can lead to being removed from the tribe, or being ostracized or alienated, or having less respect. Now, once upon a time, that may have served us as we were warriors. Now, irrelevant. Like, when was the last, like, I'm not, like, it's no longer relevant, but that mindset has come with us over throughout our evolution. And right now, it just, not being able to be vulnerable or to show weakness is the reason why guys don't talk. And that's the reason why, so girls, everybody suffers mental health across the board, whether it's male or female, but the difference is how we react and respond to it. So girls talk, guys terminate. And all of this can be avoided. All of this can be avoided by expressing vulnerability, hands up, acknowledging the bullshit that society now is operating, how we operate. It is bullshit. And we're all cognitively aware of the fact that everybody struggles, but the hypocrisy of the silence is the problem, because we're just head in the sand, not acknowledging things. And as a result, we're losing men. Every single day, we're losing men to suicide. So, you know, and I could have been part of that statistic in 2008. So these are things now, I think, just as men, we got to step up, and we got to kind of acknowledge the bullshit, and then just proactively change, whether for individuals or inspiring other individuals. But starts off with yourself. And this is something I learned the hard way, but now it's just like, I know it is fact. So the other one that I think guys struggle with a lot as well is the mask of masculinity. So again, guys, we go home to our beds, we go home at night to our apartments, or wherever we are, in college or at home, and we are in touch with our emotions, and we know how we feel as men, and we know our day-to-day existence. We know how that is for us. But we also know, based on that warrior mindset, that a lot of this isn't socially acceptable. And we can't express this stuff that we know is true, but we're not comfortable being that vulnerable or expressing the reality of our emotions in society. And that's the mask of masculinity. That's what it is. So we leave our room, we put on the mask. We're macho, we're strong, we are these, you know, we're men, we're warriors. We go home to our beds, mask comes off, we're not. And it's all bullshit, because everybody's doing it, and that contributes on a macro level to the problem. Again, individual choice, we all have it. And the expression of vulnerability, from my experience, so as I said, I've been on this journey now since about 2017. I ran the Dublin Marathon in 2017, and afterwards I put up a video onto all my social media platforms, and like within a month, it had been seen by 50,000 people all over the world. And I was just expressing my story in 2008, just what I expressed to you there. And I was like absolutely vulnerable. I was like so vulnerable, and it goes on the internet, it's there forever. But it's changed my world in such a positive way, because now, you know, I'm just 100% me. I walk into the room as Daniel, and I want everybody to know my story. And that makes me a stronger person in a counterintuitive way. That has allowed me to progress in the manner that I have over the last 3 years, because no ego. It was like, hands up. I was the weakest of the weak. But it inspires others. You can be true to yourself, and then, you know, everybody wins, but you definitely win. But it's having that courage to take that first step. I did it in 2008 in a very, very, you know, obviously obvious and grand way. But if everybody could be a bit more vulnerable, you will be happier, you will be more successful, you will be able to progress in a much faster and more productive way. But it starts with you just expressing who you are. Vulnerability is just being true to yourself to other people, or true about yourself to other people. And without being vulnerable, you're always going to have that ego, and always going to be, you know, making decisions and life choices based on the interpretation of other people, or how they would perceive you. And you will never, ever progress in the manner in which you potentially could. So yeah, these are things. The vulnerability, guys, it sounds like a weakness, it's your biggest strength. But the first step of being vulnerable is difficult, because we're brought up as men, we're guys, we can't express vulnerability, it makes us weak. It doesn't associate with what the stereotypical impression of a man is in society. I'm telling you here, it's bullshit. All of that stuff is bullshit. The more vulnerable you are, the stronger you become. And, you know, a lot of guys, like I was a senior footballer up until very recently, I'm a guy's guy. I'll straight up say, the moment you become vulnerable, that's when you get your strength, and not beforehand. And it is that, you know, this end of the spectrum, the more closed off you are, the weaker you are, the more vulnerable you are, the stronger you are. And it might not be somebody in your social group immediately, but, you know, friends, family are there to speak with, but there's also professionals there to speak with. But guys, it is all about talking. You know, you would rather talk than terminate. So coming in now to November, and so I like to do this, right, guys? I start off by positive, have the shit in the middle, and go back to positive. I call it a shit sandwich. In teaching, I used to call it 2 crosses and a star or something. So it's like, all right, something, you know. Anyway, we put the shit part in the middle. So that's a shit sandwich. Let's get on to the bread again. So positive habits that we can develop over the next, like, we're in lockdown, and this COVID situation has afforded us an opportunity to just maybe step back, reflect, and then come back with maybe new habits and new lifestyles and new positive things that will serve us going forward. And it takes 21 days to build a habit, and it takes 6 weeks to build a lifestyle. So if you're not happy with who you are right now, in 6 weeks, you can be a different person if you so wish. But like anything, it starts with awareness, then it comes with motivation, and then it's proactive effort. But these are things that if you really wanted starting today, you could introduce to your life. And if you do it for 21 days, that's a habit. And if you do it for 6 weeks, that's a lifestyle. That's who you are. That's a personality trait. If you engage with the process. So when the guys reached out to me, like, right, let's talk about positivity. What are the things you do? I was like, fucking hell, how long you got? Like, I can talk for a week on this stuff. But since we're a little bit restricted, that I just picked my top 3, okay? So I am a personal trainer, I'm a physical education teacher, I'm a sports guy, so it's very easy for me to talk about exercise. But I feel as though that is the problem within society, that we associate exercise with those things I alluded to, the gym and the sports. That's the problem. So sports people are in the minority, and sports is for the minority, and exercise or physical activity is for 100% of the population. So we can associate, and there's a flaw with the physical education in this country and other countries, and I'm part of it as a PE teacher, but hopefully with this doctorate, I might have some sway, we can do some changes. But exercise, guys, it doesn't have to be in the gym, it doesn't have to be playing sports. It's just movement, getting your heart rate up. And it's fundamental to me as a person, and to everybody as a person, but I am as efficient as I am because I exercise daily. And when I say exercise, 4 days a week, I'll go for a walk for an hour, and it's nothing heavy, just outside going for a walk. 3 days a week, I'm exercising hard for 40 minutes, heart rate up, red face, panting. You can do that in so many different ways. It doesn't have to be in the gym. It doesn't have to be playing sports. Find something you like to do that gets your heart rate up, and do that 3 days a week. And then the other days, just go for a walk. Who can't do that? And that's more important than sports or more important than aesthetics. Just get moving. It's fundamental, and do it outdoors if you can. So 40 minutes every day, go for a bit of exercise, 3 days a week, make that hard. I think that's very doable, right? And all this advice I'm going to give is really practical, stuff that you can just action in the morning if you so wish. The second one, guys, is journaling, okay? So this is something that not everybody does, or not everybody's value on, and I will tell you right now, it's the most important thing. It's a way to get your thoughts out of your head into the world, and you don't need somebody there for you to do it. Literally just writing stuff down, and it doesn't have to be anything heavy. Just doodling, writing things down, planning for the next day, getting things down on paper. Even the process of journaling is a mindful practice. You're engaged in it. So without you there to doodle in your journal, it's not getting done. So these little writing, it's just a mindfulness practice. You're there. You're not thinking about yesterday, which can cause depression. You're not worried about tomorrow, which can cause anxiety. You're at your desk and you're journaling, and it's so easy. And like, my journal is my #1 possession in the world. I change it up probably every year, but I invest in it because I use it every single day. And it's there's so much value in it. And I couldn't even tell you why there's so much value in it, but there is. So get stuck in. Buy a journal and just write, doodle, and even just plan your days, whatever. It's useful. Coming into that now, so I use my journal a lot for gratitude, right? And gratitude is the other one. Like, they're my top 3. It's exercise, journaling, and practicing gratitude. And then obviously the gratitude, there's something you could do in the journal. But gratitude is a superpower, guys, because you cannot be sad and grateful at the same time. They are mutually exclusive. Simultaneously, you cannot be sad and grateful. If you are truly grateful, you can't be sad. Try it. Prove me wrong. It's impossible. It is a superpower. Because if you really focus in, and I don't want it to be like abstract or general, pick something or someone that you are super grateful for having in your life and go deep on that. So I don't want you to go wide or broad. Pick a thing or a couple of things and daily go deep on why you're so grateful and why you're so appreciative that thing or person is in your life, and go deep and really think about it. Try to be sad. Can't. Impossible. And also I like bringing it in as like kind of a ritual. So like every day we're in the shower, or at least we should be. I don't know, that's what we do in Cork. It might be the same otherwise. But like every day you're having a wash, or you're brushing your teeth, or you're going for a drive, or taking public transports. Think something that you do every single day that you can't get out of. Practice gratitude at that time. So build it into your routine. So if I'm on the Lewis, I'm being grateful. If I'm brushing my teeth, I'm being grateful. If I'm in the shower, I'm being grateful. That association will help you develop that as a routine, and it's habitual. And then you get that compound effect of doing things regularly. But it's good to associate it with something in your life that you're going to be doing anyway, because that you're more likely to continue with it then and make it consistent. Because like, once off going for a run, no benefit. Once off practicing gratitude, no real benefit. But if you do it daily, that's what changes your life. It just changes who you become. And again, I know from experience from 2008 to 2020, the difference is my daily habits. Change your habits, you change who you are. And acknowledge the bullshit, that's the first step. And then just go about proactively changing. And that's supposed, like, so this stage, as I said, 21 days habit, 3 weeks, 6 weeks, it's a lifestyle. Routine helps. So routine helps, okay? Because if you develop real strong routines, and like, I'm an advocate for it, but I practice everything that I preach. So I have real strong bookends to my day. Every morning I do the same thing. Every evening I do the same thing. And it's allowing me to do the stuff I know that I should do and that I ought to do, and it takes the thinking or the choice out of it for me. So I know when I wake up, the first thing I do, I have Insight Timer. If you haven't downloaded it, download it. Insight Timer is an app for meditation. Everything gets led, you get led through meditations, and it's really simple. And it's like, I'm qualified in meditation, but like a lot of people would be kind of, myself included, would quite be intimidated by it, or might think it's very kind of like for other people. It's just simple practice, guys, but this lead in meditation is helpful. So I wake up, the first thing I do, open an Insight Timer and I meditate. Second thing I do, I get myself a cup of coffee and I go for a walk. So that's my, my hour in the air guaranteed, because it's done first thing. And then I come back, I'm at my desk and I work and whatever. And then in the evening, I turn off all my technology. So 2 hours before I want to be asleep, I turn off my tech. then I'm reading or journaling, and then by the time I'm asleep, like, and the technology being turned off really helps me get to sleep. And then, you know, that's my strong bookends. And the middle of the day is super productive then. But in those bookends, I've got exercise, I've got meditation, I've got reading, I've got journaling. Happens every day because they're part of my bookends. But all these routines, if you build them and embed them into your lifestyle, it takes the thinking out of it for you. It takes the choice out of it for you. You think that you just associate with a time, and it's easier then. You don't allow yourself the choice. And the power of routine, guys. And as I said, change your habits, you change who you are. And show me your habits, and I'll show you who you are. But if we're in the group now and you're listening to this, and you're not happy, or you're not as healthy as you could be, or you know the stuff you need to be changing, or that you could potentially change, I would encourage you to try to build habits as opposed to doing them as a once-off. And try to be managing expectations, that you're not setting yourself goals that are too kind of ambitious. You know, let's just start on this baby steps of this self-growth, self-development, self-care, self-love. And it's just that baby incremental steps, 1% every day. But all of these things are quite doable, guys. And I talk about the core 4 a lot. And that comes down to just exercise 40 minutes a day, drink your 2 liters of water, which equates to 5 glasses. You have your nutrition on point, just like nothing, like there's a lot of fads with diets. Whatever your granny told you is healthy is still healthy. Just eat that stuff, you know, nice balanced nutritional diet. Nothing too, you don't have to be too strict about it. Just eat the good stuff more than eat the bad stuff. And then try as best you can to sleep for 8 hours. And I know that's difficult. When I talk about the core 4, my clients, or when I'm public speaking, will say the sleep is the one they have trouble with. Turn off your technology. Don't drink coffee after lunch. Read or journal in your bed. All these things help you fall asleep. Get your exercise. That will help you fall asleep, because it's a cycle. You exercise, you drink the water, you eat the food, you sleep like a baby. Repeat, repeat, repeat. And all these have helped me over the last 12 years. You know, I would have been 22 when I had my difficult stage. This is me at 35. And the biggest change, like, nobody looks after me except me. But these are just things simple that I do. And I think everybody listening to this, there's nobody here will go, oh, Dan, I can't do that. You can. You definitely can. But it starts with an awareness, and then motivation, and then proactivity. And you change who you are. 12 years time, you can be where you want to be. But it does come with proactive, like, it won't, you can't be passive about it. You have to kind of take it by the reins now and say, you know what, whatever has come, whatever has been, but now the future is mine. And, you know, you are in control more than you think. So I think that could be useful. If it's okay with you guys, we're going to do one more thing, and then we will have a group. If anybody has a question, whatever, we'll put it at that. Like, I talk a lot. I talk very fast. I lose track of time when I'm talking as well. So I don't even, that could be in 2 hours. It could be 5 minutes. I don't know how long I was speaking. But the next thing I'm going to do is just...
Keep going.
Okay. Good man. Look. Yeah, so it's coming up to 10 o'clock now. So what I want to do is one last practice, and it's what I do before public speaking. I was doing it before I came on this morning, but I do it before a modeling job or anything that caused me a bit of pressure, like going into an interview, going for a date, anything like that you might be a little bit nervous about, and it just settles your nerves immediately. I call it emergency meditation. It takes less than 5 minutes. So we'll do it together if that's okay. So the first thing I'm going to ask everybody to do is to close your eyes. Okay. Once your eyes are closed, I want you to take an inhale through your nose for 5 seconds. Once you've inhaled, you hold your breath for 5 seconds. And once you've held for 5, you exhale for 5 seconds. We're going to do that 5 times. So 5 seconds in, 5 second hold, 5 second out, 5 second hold, 5 second in, 5 second hold, 5 second out, 5 second hold. Do that 5 times. We should be at around the 3rd time now. So once you have it done 5 times, keep your eyes closed and concentrate on that breath. 5 in, 5 hold, 5 out, 5 hold. Once you've done your 5, you keep your eyes closed. Do not open your eyes. I want you focusing on your toes. Really proactively engage with the sensations of your toes. Work through your foot to your heels. Just concentrate physically and mentally, concentrate on these parts of your body. Up through your calves, your shins, your knee joints, up through your thighs, quads, hamstrings, your pelvis. We're in our abdominal wall now, we're in our abs, up through our back, our sternum, chest. Concentrate on these body parts. Your throat, up through your jaw, whether cheeks, whether eyes. Open our eyes. Find 5 things in the room you can see. Point them out. Find 5 individual things you can see. 4 things you can hear, including the Cork accent. Find another 3 things you can hear. In the room right now, 3 different things. Sorry, 4 different things. 3 things you can touch. Now we're touch. So different textures, guys. 3 things you can touch around you that have different textures. 2 things you can smell, just as well I did have my shower this morning. One other thing. And then 1 thing you can taste. Taste something, whatever. Get something on your tongue. Right, that's sensations. That's a grounding exercise. You're back in the room. So now if you're public speaking, you're on a date, you're at an interview, the awareness around there's no immediate threat. As uncomfortable as this is, or as, you know, there's no threat to me. So anxiety now is down. So our anxiety has been reduced. That changed my life. I was a guy always anxious, but like performance anxiety was the worst for me. I learned that just through research, and I've been using it for, you know, the best part of a decade. Changed my life. Guys, that's me today. Everybody's going to class. If anybody has any questions, I'll hang on a while, but that's you for today. And thanks so much for having me on.
Daniel, thanks so much.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you.
No problem.
I don't know if anyone has any questions. The one thing that I suppose was going to say is, how important do you think community is? Because that's something I've found to be huge in trying to change a habit. I think just everyone kind of pursuing this common goal of making this month a really special, productive month where we try and change our lives and change the lives of people around us.
Yeah, it's very important. Very important. It makes things easier, right? If you have a community that have similar motives or similar mindsets, it just makes things easier. And that connectivity is something that I speak about all the time. Like just about outside of the core 4, the most important things you would need is connectivity, because we can't do anything by ourselves, and isolation is so detrimental to our mental health and our well-being. So we need people around us, and if those people around us have the same goals and want to achieve the same stuff, it just makes things easier. Your tribe then, if you find people that are on the same path as you, way more likely to achieve, you know. And so I think that's the real benefit of arranging something like as you have, guys, because this could be, if with synergy, if you all, you know, come together, there's going to be mutual benefits for everybody, and also you'll just do way better than you ever would have if you tried to do this alone. So I'm all about it, lads. I really respect what you're doing. I'll be here next week as a guest, you know. I'm a Trinity student first and foremost, so but it's really amazing, and it will help, and it's, you know, it's powerful. It is powerful, and it's empowering having people around you with a similar mindset.
Yeah. See, Aidan,
question in?
Yeah, Aidan has a question there.
Aidan's in the lib, so he just threw it into the chat there. With building habits, etc., what do you find helps in staying accountable with keeping those up?
Yeah, very good question, and I get asked this a lot. Like, so in an ideal world, you would have somebody to be accountable to, right? So that's where personal trainers and coaches come in, all right? But everybody's not in a position, especially not students, right? So when you're doing it off your own back, so the start is what stops most people. So don't allow the start to stop you. So there's something that you really want to do and really want to change in your life. You will come up across obstacles in those first 21 days, especially in that first 7 days, actually. But that first 21 days, it's where you have to proactively decide. And it's not about deciding, it's about resolving. Like it's a resolution you're making to yourself that this is going to happen. You have for 21 days, that's the accountability, it's to yourself. And to be firm with your goals and firm with your ambition to create these habits, because if you're not and you're just saying it, like, it won't happen. So you resolve to create these habits, knowing scientifically it takes 21 days, and if you stop before that, it won't be developed. So yeah, ideally you have somebody to be accountable to. Like a lot of the coaching I do have nothing to do with personal training or fitness. I'm a life coach. I'm working with guys that are setting up businesses and wanting to do these things, but they want somebody to be accountable to, but they obviously have the money to do that. But if you don't, it really is being accountable to yourself, and it's writing those resolutions. And there's no question, this is getting done, and then being accountable to yourself. Does that help answer the question? I know that's like, it is the only way you can do it, but the journal helps. Writing things down is almost like making a contract to yourself. Seeing it often enough, you're reminded of that contract and that resolution you've made to yourself. even having a buddy, like what we're talking here about the community, like if you can't pay a professional, have a buddy to be accountable to. Like I'm still just looking at Deck and Ben because they're right next to each other here. But if they made a promise to each other, oh, isn't that lovely? Look, the love in the room, guys. The love in the room.
See, yesterday, like I'm still freezing.
I saw that. It's, but like that's what you need to do, because you're more inclined to do it with somebody that's depending on you, you know. And it's often that's the beauty of having a gym buddy or a training buddy, that if I'm not feeling it, but Rafi is waiting for me, I'm going to meet Rafi because I don't want him to feel bad. So that accountability, you can just do it in a kind of a friendly relationship too. It doesn't have to be professional. So that keeps you on track, I think.
Yeah.
And then eventually, like, you'll be totally self-sufficient. That's the idea of it. You do this at the start, whether it's professional or personal relationships. You do it at the start, and then eventually, both of you build the habits. And if you do it for 6 weeks, both of you have it as a lifestyle, and you don't need people then.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Any other questions? I did tell everybody they need one, so I'm going to pick. Aha, Rafi. Thank you, sir.
Wow. Thank you so much for that, man. Super appreciate it. A lot of it related to my, like, I'd love to take you for a coffee.
No
got so
problem.
much to talk about, man.
Definitely.
It's really interesting
that
because
goes for everybody, by the way. That goes for everybody. I live on campus, and this is what I love to do. I know it's my job. I love to do it, and this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. So I'm going to be in Trinity for the next 2 years or year and a half. Rafi, I'd love to meet you for a coffee, mate.
Awesome, man. I super appreciate that. Like, so you were saying now, like 10 years ago, you were super depressed. Very interestingly, 10 months ago, I was suicidal. 11 months ago, I was suicidal.
Okay, mate.
And drug addict.
Well done.
Mental health really fucked. Everyone pushed away from me. Life in a complete and utter state. Couldn't keep up with anything. Ended up in rehab. And it's the best thing I ever did.
Well done,
so I'm
mate.
now nearly 11 months sober, and like I'm working on myself and shit like that.
Good man.
There's one thing that you said that I wanted to just add something on, because there's like a really good practical one for it. So, you know, when you were talking about your meditation one, something that I found really helps me is the Calm app.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know it, but it's fucking awesome. So they've got like a brilliant, they do it in like 7. It's really interesting how you were saying things take 21 days, but a habit's like 7 days, because they've got like 7 days to managing anxiety and 7 days of stress. And those are 7-day courses, but then like daily courses as well. And I find it super effective. It's something that I build into my mornings, man. It's fantastic. Good, man. And the other thing you said that really struck a chord with me is, so there's this saying in the rooms that recovery is sobriety plus change.
Yeah.
And a lot of the stuff that you were saying is, it's one thing to think it, but you actually have to do it. And something that I wanted to discuss with you, or something that I wanted to bring up, was the pandemic. Like, pandemic has been really fucking difficult for everyone. Yeah. There's been higher suicide rates. There's been higher relapse rates. There's been higher hospital admissions. We have a family friend who's a psychiatrist who said he's working 15 hours a day at the moment, just trying to keep up. Yeah. And the question that I wanted to bring to you was, the big thing that the pandemic has taken away from us is that connectedness, that ability for people to connect. Yeah. And so in this pandemic time where we can't really visit people and we can't really see people, and how does one really try and keep up? Because that's something that I'm personally struggling with. Yeah. And how does one keep up that connectedness? Do you know what I mean? When it's clearly, evidently so important.
It is. So, like, that's the importance of things like this, right? Technology is going to be our friend for the time being. You know, it's not ideal, but it's better than no communication whatsoever. So you got to get up on your phone more. You got to make an effort more as well. So, like, a lot of times we would have been like bumping into each other on campus and just shooting the shit. And that bullshit talk, as much as we might think it's bullshit talk, it's so important. And then we don't have it, because that we're not just walking past each other anymore. So it's being proactive, getting on the phone. And like, as part of my PhD, like, we're talking about all the time, like, social groups and social networks. And there's a thing called Dunbar's number. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but it's like, you're in the middle. Outside of you are the 5 most important people in your world. These are people that, like, you've real strong emotional ties to. If there's an emergency in the morning and you're going to ring people, they're not 5, right? And then outside that, you have a group of 10. So that 15 is your tribe. We need to be contacting those 15 way more often now, because we just need to be more proactive. Like, I haven't seen my parents. I've been home twice this year. Like, it's, and I'm going to put my relationships more than anything else, but I'm just on the phone more. We Zoom every week. We've set up again, like, habits and routines. I've set up a Zoom with my family every single Sunday. My brother's in Sydney, but it's getting done. And like, you know, we can turn it into a positive thing as well. But I feel as though you need technology and you need to be more proactive. And if you can't see people physically, we still have to stay connected, however that is. So technology is one, just normal stuff, get on the phone, SMS, write a letter if you want to, I don't know, send on a pigeon.
And how important do you think, sorry if there's just follow on, how important do you think that connectedness aspect is?
So
or to change it from a different angle, like, why do you feel that the pandemic is causing so much stress on men's mental health?
Well, that's multifaceted there. So a lot of it has to do with like financial obligations, professional change in scenarios, the connectivity as well, exercise, like gyms not being closed. Like I know loads of people, like I know I'm a personal trainer, but I know loads of people can't exercise or they can't lift weights. Like I can, but like there's a lot of people that if they're not in the gym, they're not doing anything. So all these contribute, but it's just stress. And I'm a real empath. So like I pick up on other people's emotions all the time. So I'm aware of the energy is real negative at the moment, you know, not even impacts on me from time to time. So you're walking around the streets, the news is all bullshit, like everything is negative. So everybody's feeling the strain, everybody. But that's, I think, girls as well. But I think the problem with the guys is that we don't talk about it, you know, and that's why, again, it's just bringing to light all these issues that we have as men. That shouldn't be the case, but no, it's becoming more and more obvious because everybody's struggling, but men are struggling worse. Why? We're not talking. So these things help. And your first question was connectivity. So connectivity and good, strong social, familial, friendly relationships builds resilience. We're more inclined to keep going when we have people around us to help from time to time. We get confidence from that. We'll put ourselves forward for more things, knowing that we have a safety net and we have a good network around us. We're more resilient. That's the benefit, major benefit of having connectivity. And also we're social beings. If you want to be the happiest version of yourself, you need to be interacting with others. That's how we're designed as human beings. So isolation is very, very negative for those reasons. It's resilience. It's putting yourself forward with more confidence to things, knowing that you have people who have your back. And then also social interaction just makes us happier as individuals. That's the benefit of connectivity. Super important.
Thank you so much, man. Really appreciate the talk.
Most welcome.
Thank you.
Most welcome. Most welcome.
Cool. I reckon that's us.
Well, happy days.
Yeah.
And guys, thanks so much again. Honestly, I was over the moon when you reached out. This is going to be a brilliant program that you're going to be offering for the next 5 weeks. Is 5 Mondays? Is that correct, Dec? Ben?
Yeah.
Next 4 after today?
Yeah.
Four more
after today.
Brilliant.
So yeah, please God.
Well done. Well done for organising.
Thank you so much.
Thanks a million, Dan.
That was great.
Most welcome. Most welcome. All right, guys. Have a good day, all right?
Week ahead.
Take it
Anyway, a
easy.
few questions for you, if I can ask you.
Oh, yes, of course.
Right, first one is, how did you get into the male model business? And the second one is, how long or when did you realize that when you changed your life around, it was working for you?
Okay, so
Like,
two very different questions.
that'll be different. That'll be
Pardon?
different. Like the second question is like it'll be different for everyone naturally, but I suppose
yeah, and it's all a journey, you know. I don't think you'll ever wake up in the morning like, that's me now, I'm sorted. Like, well, nobody is, you know. But I feel as though so a lot of my issues was based on perfectionism, was based on ego, was based on other people's perceptions of me. I didn't have a fucking clue what I wanted to do with my life until very, very recently. So I felt as though, and nobody gave a fuck, of course, but I was thinking everybody thinks that Daniel's a flake, Daniel doesn't know what he's doing, blah, blah, blah. So I was only, when I started, I suppose, PhD in DTW, I really was like, all right, that's my career path now. That's it. That's that sorted at least. So I think from then on, I became very settled as a person. I wasn't as distracted, but like, you know, that's small fish comparing to what I was going through in 2008, you know. So it was all that journey of a spectrum. But I think over the last 3 years, I think coming to Dublin, starting my PhD, it gave me this kind of like, right, this is my goal, this is my life path now, you know, and I feel as though I'm on service, I'm kind of being the guy I needed when I was younger. All these things give me a kind of stronger sense of self-esteem and self-efficacy. So I feel as though if I was to give a point where it was really significantly more positive, it would have been 2017. And, you know, started the process in 2008, you know, so that's a 9-year journey of being very unhappy, like very unhappy. And the outside world would have perceived me as a guy that was very happy. You know, I could put it on when I wanted, and a lot of it wasn't even fake. Like in socially, I'd enjoy myself, but I was just boozing, like what you're saying there, Rafi. I was just I was boozing, I was partying, I was considered a social guy for those reasons. I'm always smiling, but like I was just going home, I was miserable and I was full of anxiety and full of insecurity. And that was a 9-year journey from like 1 out of 10 in terms of self-esteem. And then over the last few years, it's got much better. But so yeah, 2017. How to get into modeling? That's the second time I've been asked this question over recently. I was asked live radio, Osquilga. Ben, that was difficult. So how it was, I was going out with a model in Cork years ago. And I suppose I started modeling about 5 years ago. I was going out with a girl in Cork. I was meant to be going Gaelic football training. There happened to be a fashion show in my hometown at the exact same time. A male model pulled out at the last minute. My girlfriend was involved in the show. She rang me up, was like, Dan, can you help us out? I was like, I'm going to fucking GA training here. He's like, come on, just get down. We don't have it. With all this clothes, we need a male model. So I did it. And then the agent was there. And then the next shoot I was doing was playing rugby in CIT. I was like, I can play rugby. You want to take photos? That's grand. I'll just play rugby. And I got bought by Avonmore Protein Milk. And then like that was my second ever job. Like the Protein Milk campaign went big. And then from there on, I was just a model, I guess, but it was just mad. I had no interest or no ambition. But no, it's like how I earn my money in Dublin primarily. That's what I do. So 5 years ago, it would have just been pure chance. Just going out with the right girl.
Nice, thank you.
Welcome.
Anyone else, lads? No? Cool.
Okay. Well, guys, thanks so much. I really enjoyed that as well. And keep up the great work, okay, guys? You're doing great stuff. So fair play. A lot of respect. And you know, it's none but love. Take it easy.
Yeah, you're bug.